In less than 30 minutes, one man turned a quiet neighborhood into an active crime scene, and it was all caught on camera. A quiet Pasadena afternoon turned into a nightmare. November 23rd, 2021. It started with frantic 911 calls. A man had been shot. An armed suspect was still on the loose when officers arrived. They found a 70-year-old victim lying in the street. Despite desperate life-saving efforts, he didn't survive. But this was only the beginning. Seconds later, the suspect pointed his gun at a passing driver. A woman who stopped to help suddenly found herself face-to-face with a gunman. He forced her out of her car and nearly took the vehicle before vanishing into the neighborhood. Residents watched in fear as the armed suspect walked calmly through streets and driveways, even attempting to enter homes. Then police found him. A gunfight erupted in the middle of a residential block. Ring cameras captured the exchange of gunfire as bullets flew between officer and suspect. Somehow neither was hit. The suspect ran, jumping fences and firing into an occupied home.
Once the suspect was gone, the carjacking victim immediately ran to a nearby residence for safety. The suspect walked away from his initial crime scene in a southeasterly direction through Gwynn Park. As he approached a home near the corner of Hermanos Street and Eaton Drive, the residents reported the suspect stopped in their driveway and pointed a handgun at them as they stood in the opened door of their home. These victims immediately locked their door and moments later heard what was described as a suspect kicking the door as if to force his way inside. After a short time, the residents reported they saw the suspect walk away southbound on Eaton Drive. It was about this time the first officer arrived at the scene, and he and the Good Samaritan began providing emergency medical aid to the 70-year-old shooting victim. The second officer to arrive immediately initiated a search for the suspect. Witnesses directed this officer to the area of Hermanos Street and Eaton Drive, the last place the suspect was seen. As the officer drove south on Eaton Drive, he saw the male walking southbound on the west sidewalk. This person was wearing a blue shirt and khaki pants, the same description provided by the numerous 911 callers. A residential ring camera system picked up the gunman as he calmly walked on the sidewalk. Realizing this was likely the person who shot the victim, the officer attempted to keep distance between he and the suspect. Using the police vehicle's PA system, the officer gave the male verbal commands to cooperate with officers. Instead, the suspect raised his firearm.
Stop right there. Get down on the ground. Get down on the ground.
Using the police department's service rifle, the officer engaged in a gun battle with the suspect. The same ring camera captured the shootout between the suspect and officer. Neither the officer nor the suspect were injured from this exchange of gunfire. After his assault on the officer, the suspect ran south and into the backyard of a residence in the 500 block of Eaton Drive, where he climbed the property's rear wall and into the rear yard of a residence in the 500 block of Sunnyslope Avenue. Once on the property of the Sunnyslope address, the suspect fired 2 rounds from his firearm into the occupied house, shattering the rear sliding glass door. The female resident began to scream, tried to escape through the front door. However, the suspect quickly entered the house and directed her to exit through a rear door. He followed closely behind, moments before taking her hostage. Within just a few seconds of exiting the house, several other officers arrived with the intent of taking the suspect into custody. These officers immediately came under fire from the suspect. While still behind her, the suspect grabbed a hold of the female resident's shirt collar, pulled her towards him, wrapped his left arm across her chest, extended his hand holding the firearm over her right shoulder, and fired several rounds at the arriving officer. He eventually pulled the hostage behind a vehicle parked in the driveway of the residence as he continued to fire rounds. The hostage later reported that while engaged in the gun battle, the suspect expressed his desire to have the hostage perform a sexual act on him. At one point in the gun battle, and while continuing the hold on the hostage, the suspect tripped and both he and the hostage fell to the ground. This provided the victim an opportunity to escape, which she did, and officers began returning fire at the suspect.
Hey man, let her go! Let her go, bro! Just let her go! Fuck, dude. Get off the air! 21 shots fired. Oh yeah, suspect's down. He's behind a car. Hey, let's move. Hold up. He's moving. Drop the gun. Police, drop the fuck.
Silver SUV. Shots fired by police as well. Where is he at?
He's behind the car. I see him. Please! Drop the gun, man! Drop the gun!
Where is he?
He's behind the car. He's in the front of it. He's laying down to the front of the Jeep.
As the victim ran away, she told officers she looked back at the suspect and saw him place his firearm to his own head and take his own life. Detectives are awaiting the coroner's report to determine if the evidence collected confirms the victim's account. The suspect was identified as 24-year-old Devin Edward Hall. He was a military veteran and a resident of the city of Inglewood. He purchased the .57 American MK pistol used during this incident after being discharged from the military in 2020, and his family reports he routinely carried it with him. This pistol fires a 5.7 by 28 millimeter high-velocity bullet and is typically used by both military and law enforcement units. His family described his behavior on the morning of November 23, 2021 as abnormal and anxious. He spent the morning waving his gun around the family, making comments about protecting his sisters. Additionally, the family told detectives any incoming telephone call or text message would trigger their brother, and eventually he forcibly removed all communication devices from his family members. As of this time, detectives have found no indication that there was any relationship between suspect Hall and 70-year-old victim, but their investigation into this matter continues. The information provided in this critical incident video is based on a preliminary and ongoing investigation. Our understanding of the facts and circumstances of this incident may change as additional information and evidence is discovered.